Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our fourth session of AI literacy courses. Today is going to be a very, very interesting session. So, again, as I shared with some of you who arrived on time, I said I will take questions at the end of the session because I am recording this session today because it's a bit more complex, and I know some of you may want to go over what I'm doing. And as well as there were some people who could not make it today. So I am recording today's session. If you do not want your question showing up in the recordings, you can wait until the end. I will say at the end, I'm willing to take questions now, and I will stop the recording at that point, and you can ask your questions, okay? So today is all about building your own custom GPT, all right? So for the last 3 weeks, I taught you a lot of things about how to ask better questions using the craft prompt. We built a website, again, using the craft prompt. And then the week before, last week, we looked at content, how to really build your own content using the craft prompt. So today we're going to dive into something that is really unique because what you will learn today is how to stop starting over with ChatGPT or Claude, right? Because generally, what you're doing each time is you open a new chat or you open a new project and you will start like typing new things. Okay, this is who I am, act like this, act like this. So today we're going to look a bit more how to just let ChatGPT or Claude know everything about you already so they will know how to act for you. So instead of starting over, instead of wasting another 5 minutes writing that prompt, or even sometimes half an hour, because sometimes I could take that long to write my own prompt, you don't need to re-explain who you are. You don't need to reset the tone. You don't need to repaste the rules, and you definitely would not need to retrain it in your voice. The outcome from today is ChatGPT or Claude will give you content that sounds just like you because you would have already given it its sets of rules. All right. But what exactly is a custom GPT? First of all, I will show you towards the end of this presentation how I build one, but really it's going to be a GPT that already knows you. It will know your role or whatever you're working on, whatever project you're working on. It will know who your clients are. It will know what your rules are and what your voice is. So you don't ever need to really start over or explain or set things up when you have this custom GPT, okay? And this is a feature most people miss because, yes, it's not that obvious. Most people are just opening new chats, and continuing talking to ChatGPT. So this feature is going to show you exactly how to set it up correctly. And then I want you to not be scared about this because I'm sure you saw this topic and you're like, oh my God, Risa, are you going to make me code today? Are you going to teach me something that I don't really ready to my brain to take? So no, don't worry. This is going to be super simple. It's again things that are going to be written in plain English. It's going to be trained on the examples you already have, or even it already did for you. So if you liked previous work that it did for you, you can use that. It's also going to be very reusable. So you always be able to reuse the same kind of content that you're building now. And if you're in an office space, you can share it with your team or your clients if you need it too. Okay. So you will not have to code today. I am not going to tell you anything technical. It is also just not expensive. It's what if you're already paying for the tool, it's part of the paid tool. Unfortunately, it's not available on the free tool. So you have to be paying in the minimum of 20 US dollars to ChatGPT or Claude to access this feature. But generally, it's already there and it will not be complicated. So if you already wrote an email, if you already wrote a social media post, this is exactly what you're going to do to actually build one now. But like everything, I want us to understand how we're building this GPT. And it starts with our craft prompt, okay? So as we talked about the context, so what you're using now to build this GPT is that it must know about you, your business, and your clients. Again, you can just jot this down, and I will show you a little secret and shortcut I did. I just jot short notes down in ChatGPT first, and I asked it to build me this craft prompt, and you will see what it gave me as well. All right. And then you have to, again, make it known what is the role you want it to act. So whether you want it to be a ghostwriter, do you want it to be some like Maxine, you running a an order, a catering service. So when you're running your catering service, you can have like this GPT take orders in for you because it already understands the different menus you're making, etc. And combine special for Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas, whatever specials are coming up. It can mix and match and come up with the menus for you, come up with all the promotions for you. So it will just kick those things out for you in less than 10 minutes. So you don't have to sit and do it anymore. Okay. Um, the next A is again for the action. Now, again, I want you to remember this is a GPT and it should be focused on one thing. Don't try to ask it to do too many things. So it shouldn't be a researcher, a designer, a writer, everything at once. Create different GPTs if you want. And again, I will show you at the end how somebody did that. But you can create different GPTs for different jobs, and then it will get very more precise. So use one GPT for one task only in the beginning. All right. And then for format, you want to make sure you're clear how the length should be, what the structure should be. So whether it's 1,500 word articles you wanted to write for you, or you wanted to do carousel social media posts all the time for you, or video scripts for your Instagram reels, this is what you're going to help it build for you. And last but not least is the tone, right? So how do you want it? You want it to be warm, human. You also should put things like do not use generic AI terms. So ChatGPT and all those AI tools have specific terms they love to use over and over. So you want to not make sure that it's using those types of AI terms. So say do anything you don't want it to do, also include it as well in the tone section. Okay. So how does it really work is that after you feed it with some material, like you could use, as I said, articles you wrote that you liked, or even articles it wrote before, you have to upload 5 or 10 things that you've already used. Even emails could be good, WhatsApp messages, anything that you saw got great responses and has worked for you in the previous roles, use that and upload it into the GPT. And then you have to tell it sound like this or write like this. So it will begin studying your rhythm. It will begin understanding the phrases you use and how warm you are, etc. So whatever your style of communicating is, this is how it will help write like you. Okay. And then you want it to sound like you on command. So everything it would write and it would read would be you on your best day of your life, right? Like you're not even thinking twice, you're not even struggling to come up with the words because it knows exactly how you would sound. Okay. All right. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to build a GPT now, but I'm going to explain first what are the 5 things I'm doing while I'm building this GPT. So here are the 5 boxes I have to fill in when I'm building this GPT. First, I give it a name. So I'll call it my voice or my client update drafter. Whatever I want to call it, I will call it that. The instructions, this is where I would use the craft prompt we just went through, and I will put that in a box. If it's too long, I will upload it as a file so it will know this information. And then I would also give it conversation starters. And what that is really is if ever you remembered opening a GPT, it kind of gives you hints of what you can do. This is what the conversation starters are. So if you're in a team and you want the team to know how to use this, you can remind them, these are the types of questions you can ask this GPT. And of course, knowledge is where I'm going to put up all my examples of any writing documents or reference documents. So you would see soon, I even put up the logo design of my brand and everything. So I wanted to always be on point with that type of brand images and everything that I wanted creating. And capabilities, you don't have to really fill this out. It's just mostly like what you want it to do. And it's by default, it will be always web search, images, files. It won't be anything complicated. You're not using this specific GPT to code or build something complicated yet. All right. So these are the 5 things you would see me doing in the GPT. So let's go over to that GPT and I will show you the design. Now, again, I'm giving you an example of how you can use it here. So as a lawyer, if you're a lawyer like Ria, you'd probably want it to help you with client communication. So you can feed it documents of past client communication. So you can see what that law office is like, what their style is. And once you upload those previous communication styles, you can make it sound like you, make it sound like them, in case not so much like you because you're representing that law firm. So I'll show you how to do that. And let's say you are a doctor even and you need to give notes to your patients. For the previous notes you gave or the previous messages you gave, you can also upload that into the GPT. And one of the things I want to point out, when you build a custom GPT, it is not accessible to the public. It is now just yours. So you will see there's a feature that I will tick off that says this is only for me. And once I do that, it's only me that have accessed it or my team that will have accessed it. So this is one of the ways to safeguard your information from the net and from other people getting into the files that you don't want them to get into. All right. Okay, so let's get into the whole process now of how I'm building a GPT. So I open my ChatGPT. As you see, I have the ChatGPT Plus. When you come to the top here, you have new chat, search chats, etc. You will see more. And once you click on more, you will see GPTs. Okay? So here you would click on GPTs and you open this. Okay? So at this point, once you click on the GPTs, let me just close this. You have this button that says create, and you're going to click create, and then you're going to click configure. And on the configure side, you will see all the boxes that are ready for you to fill out. Now, in the interest of time, I did one before that is already pre-filled out, and I'll go through each step with you now so you see what I did to create this GPT. But these are the three main steps you will do. Again, you will come to your GPT, you will click on GPTs, it opens a file, it will by default open on, you would have to click create first, sorry. Once you click create, it will default open here. You can actually talk to it as well. If you're that good and you don't want to be bothered with boxes, you could just start typing here what you want this GPT to do. So you can literally paste your whole craft in the text box here. But just to be on the safe side, to make sure you do everything and you are comfortable with everything, click on configure. So you would see a couple boxes here that will help you through the process. Now, when I go over to the configure part, so just to explain to you what GPT I'm building. So I do have a company that works on building CRM systems for B2B businesses. So I'm helping these companies build better CRM systems so they don't lose revenue while they're setting up their dashboard. So oftentimes people go into board meetings and they have to show specific reports about their sales and their revenue, and they don't have those reports accurate. So there's another company that I run, that's really my day job, that I am building these dashboards for them. So I do want to create a GPT now that will be based on my RevOps Recent content engine. And I am using this GPT to create social media posts, LinkedIn articles, case studies for me, everything that I want to help promote that part of my business. Okay. So here you see, I put this GPT helps me create content to promote my services of RevOps Reset. And here, of course, I could upload my logo, right? You just click on the photo, click upload photo, and I uploaded my logo here. Then I did the instructions. So trick of how I did the instructions. I didn't sit down and write all of this because I have been using ChatGPT for a while about all of my HubSpot stuff. I did say to it, like, help me tighten this. I gave it this prompt, like, this is the prompt I'm going to use to build my GPT for RevOps Reset. Here they see a couple of things that are belonging to crafts. I said, okay, for context, I wanted to be focused on helping B2B clients who use HubSpot professional or enterprise turn their HubSpot into a revenue system. I said, act like my ghostwriter. I said, I want you to create a 3-month content calendar for the action. I want you to create long form articles for LinkedIn, social media posts, video scripts, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, make the reels like video scripts 90 seconds, make the case studies 1,500 to 3,000 words, make the articles 800 to 1,500 words. I also mentioned here, do not include AI jargon or emojis. And then in my tone, I said, keep it professional, but conversational, etc. And you're talking to C-suite. But I asked it to tighten this into a craft for me, right? Because I thought I was missing things. So then it gave me this lovely, very comprehensive content instructions that I could place into my GPT. So you would see how it expanded my audience for me, because I just mentioned C-suite executives, and it went on to say you're writing for CEOs, CROs, VPs of customer success, rev up leaders, managers, etc., etc. Um, it also helped me with the positioning. It said position us as a revenue systems partner, a strategic RevOps advisor, etc. It also gave it main problems to write about. So leadership does not trust HubSpot reports, life cycle stages do not reflect the actual customer journey. It gave me so many more points that I could not think about. So again, you don't need to think of everything. Remember, this is a thinking partner with you. So all you need to do is give it the synopsis of what you want to achieve, and it can write you the whole content. And then what I did, I copied this, I placed it in a Word document. So all of this is what it gave me. It's in a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 page, 8 page document, which again, I could have never written. I downloaded this as a file, a PDF file, and then I came back to the GPT and I uploaded this document here. Okay, so this is what this GPT is going to use now to create any content I'm asking it to create. Then I uploaded also previous images we created together that I want to use in my social posts, etc. I gave it my logo, and I also uploaded 2 of the best performing posts so it will understand the kind of structure it should give when it's like giving those different ideas and different content pieces for me. Okay. I also added some more instructions here because it just gave me another set of instructions. So I wanted to talk about the visuals I wanted to create for me. So I added some of that here, like keep on the brand because my brand has a certain style, keep on those colors, keep using those fonts, etc. So these were the additional instructions I added here. On the conversation starter now, this is where I was talking to you. So you see when I type something here, like if I erase this for a minute, you see it disappears on this side. So this is what it does. This is the conversation starter. It literally helps people to understand how to use the GPT, right? So once you type 3 or 4 things here, it will appear here when people are looking and trying to use the GPT. So you want to use things like turn this voice note into a 90-second video script. Here's a rough idea for a post, turn it into a LinkedIn article, or give me 3 hooks for this topic, right? So this is how you can prompt people to use it or remind yourself even to use it. Now they have something here called recommended model. You don't have to choose anything here. These are the different variations of the GPTs. But remember, these things are updating all the time. So you basically just want to say whatever models you prefer, you can use. But if you have a preference, you can choose which ones you want your teams to use or yourself to use. And the capabilities, as I said, what I want this GPT to do is mostly do web searches, build things like images and stuff, so Canvas, and also create images do images and visuals for me. Okay, I don't want it to be a code interpreter. I don't need it to do data analysis. This is simply a content creation tool. All right. And then at the bottom here, there's nothing really impressive, but here I tick this box, use conversation data in your GPT to improve our models. Now, again, it's not sharing the information you're creating, but it's going to be able to share with ChatGPT how you're using the model so they can improve upon it. So I just checked that box because I do want the best when I'm working on these things. Okay. So once I fill this out, all I have to do now is click create. A box will pop up now, and I will say, I only want me to use this GPT. I don't want to share it on the store. Now, if you want to create a GPT for other people to use, you have to go through a different process for this, okay? But it's the same basically, but it will ask you to verify a couple of things because they want to make sure that you're not using the tool to do any illegal activities. So it will make you go through a couple extra steps. But for this class, I'm training you how to basically use a GPT for yourself at this time. All right. And then once I click only me and I click save, the GPT will be created and it will be something I can come back to immediately and start using on ChatGPT. So if I click now view GPT, because now it's created, you will see that it will appear here, and it's now one of my GPTs that's on the side here that will be available to me. So every time I come into my ChatGPT, it's now I have my own GPT for running RevOps Reset Content Engine. And I can start using it and creating it to create the content that I want. Okay. Now I'm going to stop for a second. Let me just stop the recording. Recording. Okay, so what is the difference with how you're going to use this on Claude now? So, couple things. On Claude, let's say, for example, okay, all my AI workshops, I'm literally building all my content for it on Claude, right? So now I want to get this AI stuff, like all the messages I send you every week, all the things I share with you. I create it on Claude. So I don't want to create it every week anymore. I want Claude to literally automatically create it for me, and I can share it with you guys, and you get updates on when the classes are happening and what we're talking about next. So remember in Claude, you have projects here, right? So all my projects for every different type of business is here. When you compare that to ChatGPT, it's almost the same. ChatGPT also has projects. So you see how I have all my projects as well at the side here. So it's the same concept of projects, okay? But in Claude, when you go in, let's say I go into my AI workshops, you see at the side here where you have instructions. This is where Claude expects you to do exactly what I showed you in ChatGPT. You should create a craft prompt here and just put it here. And once you upload the craft prompt here and you click Save Instructions, it will automatically remember it for this specific project, right? So you didn't have to go and build an entire GPT to actually know how to work on this specific project. Now, again, you would use these for specific times, right? So like in this AI workshop, I'm mostly creating content. But let's say I'm building another company, like I have my cooler company. I need a more strategic partner in that way. So now what I do is I create prompts and create a craft that asks it to be a little bit more of a strategic thinking partner with me when I come up with ideas for cooler. So challenge me on those ideas, tell me where I'm wrong, tell me what I should do, act like a board of directors who's pushing me to do more or validate more, question my decisions and make sure it's good.
I know you're supervising you, eh?
Sorry.
Sure she did.
Rian, could you mute
She
yourself?
don't want to be thank you, Tina. You could just rest us down for please.
Sorry, that was Rian going crazy. Sorry about that. So yes, so Claude, this is all the difference, just to show you again. This is the difference with Claude, okay? So you will have the same things to actually talk about here, but you could just add it to the instructions here, as well as you could add the files. So the same way you added the files just now to the GPT, you add the files here. And one tip I will tell you, whenever you want to change something in Claude, you should use something like lock this in your memory. And when you use that specific term, it will automatically remember that forever for this specific project in that memory. So you see, this is what the memory bar is here for. All right. And again, when you put things here, it's again only for you. See how it has this bar here that it says it's really only for you. So you can lock things there in the memory and say, this is only for you. But don't always do this or always don't do that, and keep my work, in a specific structure that I like. So that's basically the difference with how to create custom GPTs, as they call them today, a clone or in ChatGPT. Cool. Great. So as we wrap up what we've covered today, I want you to understand that you're not building a custom GPT to sound generic, okay? The goal of this custom GPT is to make things sound like you. So when you're building it, don't be vague. You cannot just say random things or just build me a GPT to make content or etc. You have to go through that craft prompt and give it real context and give it real information, so it will begin to sound more and more like you. Again, if you don't have examples, sometimes it makes it harder, but it's okay. Sometimes you want to start without examples and see what it comes up with, and then you can refine it from there. but try to give it something that you've written, something that have gotten results from you as well. As I shared with you, I uploaded even images of things because I wanted to create images. So whatever things you like, try to feed it as much of that kind of information. And the biggest mistake people make when they're building GPTs is that they think it will do everything for them. You want to build one GPT for one thing, as I showed you with the Tom Bilyeu's example. Just to flip against it, he has a GPT for every aspect of his business. So when you follow him, you will see him talking about that. He literally spent $20 a month because he has ChatGPT, built 5 GPTs, and he's being able to build more successful businesses from those people. And he even mentions things like they replaced 120 people in his company literally. So he's paying $20 for 120 people to build 5 GPTs that actually do nothing, actually do everything that 120 people were doing. So make sure it's focused on one thing because it gets better results when it does that. All right. And then last but not least, so next week, we are going to focus on how to connect these assistants to the tools you already use. So I'm going to show you how I shortcut my day because as I shared with you, I do a lot of things, but not too many things, don't worry. But sometimes I need reminders what my priorities need to be this week. Sometimes I have client emails and stuff to do, client work to do. So I will show you how I plugged my Claude into my calendars, into my stuff. So it keeps me honest as well. It also acts like my accountability partner. So it asks me if I finish certain projects today, what I need to focus on tomorrow, because I asked it to build me a plan that will get me to a certain revenue level by the end of this year. So I have to be focused on what it is I do every single day and not get distracted by the things that look nice and all these shiny objects, but don't bring me the results I want to achieve. So I will show you how I build that, and then you can probably have one for yourself as well. Okay. So any other questions before we leave? Yes, Dunstan, go for it. Wait, hold on, Dunstan. Let me just stop the recording.